Jimmy, I know your channel is doing okay, but I found a way to make it even bigger.
What do you suggest?
Well, I've secured funding that will skyrocket this channel to the moon.
Funding? What kind of funding and where does it come from?
Well, it's pharmaceuticals.
Drugs!
You can call it what you want. I call it money.
You know what? I think you better get your ass out of here.
Ooh, a tough guy. And what if I stay and just buy your freaking channel?
Then maybe I just call a friend who will kick your ass. Oh, there he is already.
Stephen Nedumpali.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
Unbelievable but true, till today we've only reviewed one single movie with Mohanlal, and that was Drishyam in January of 2018. So shame on us. But a few days ago we got the chance to see Lucifer on the big screen.
Lucifer is a 2019 Malayalam language political action drama that was written by Murali Gopi, whom we know from Left, Right, Left. And it was directed by Prithviraj Sukumaran, who is of course known as an actor, and he also has a role in this one, but for the first time he was also the man behind the camera.
The movie stars Mohanlal in a leading role and Vivek Oberoi, Manju Varia and Tovino Thomas in supporting roles.
And Prithviraj's brother Indrajit Sukumaran is also in the movie.
The story seems to be complex at first, but in reality it is not at all. The beloved leader of a political party, PK Ramdas or PKR, dies. And now the question arises, who will take his spot? And there are 5 players in this game that could all possibly be the successor.
The beginning of the movie is quite demanding because all of these players get introduced. We get to know their name, where they're from, how they are connected to the late party leader, and what their ambitions are, or if they have any at all.
I thought we were off to a great start with this exposition, especially the introductions of Oberoi's Bobby and Mohanlal's Stephen were quite terrific. The music was on point, the scenery was vibrant and dynamic, the cinematography stylish, and I was just sucked right into this political web. Especially all those scenes with big masses really got to me. There was something in the air, tension that was just waiting to be released somehow.
It was smart that they used Indrajit's character Govardhan, who is kind of an investigative journalist or truth seeker, to explain and introduce all of these characters through a live stream on Facebook. And I was surprised that I was able to keep track of everything so well. The whole first half was pretty good, to be honest.
I thought so too. It was intriguing and it was also quite obvious from an early point on that this movie does not hold back on showing the ugly side of Indian politics. For all intents and purposes, there aren't really any, let's say, good people in this movie.
It's like Mohanlal's Stephen says at one point, you have the choice between lesser evil and greater evil, and when it comes to politics all around the world, I think that's a fairly accurate statement. Of course, in Lucifer this morale is used in a more superficial way, because in the second half it becomes more of your typical hero kicks ass movie where the politics get pushed in the background and are only used to keep the facade up of being a political movie.
I mean, overall the movie still isn't all that action-packed. It's very long and there are just a few action set pieces, and yet it feels like an action movie throughout, even if it's just people talking about politics. In this regard it reminded me of the Telugu film Bharat Ane Nenu, and I guess there are many similar ones, but we just don't know them yet, because we are only really getting into Indian cinema. Everything is treated as this larger-than-life spectacle, big emotions, big speeches, loud music and very little nuances. But you're right, after around the first hour or so it fully commits to the action genre, and we learn that once again, as in many other Indian blockbusters, our protagonist is more than meets the eye. But honestly, I was kind of expecting it, and at first I really liked it.
Oh, I didn't say that I didn't like it.
Okay, but it was obvious to both of us that this was the moment where things would eventually go into a direction that would be pretty familiar.
That's true. We found ourselves in more generic waters.
Yeah, exactly. It was still entertaining, but the wow effect just wasn't there. You get your exemplary action scenes, your typical fighting choreography, A very late song and dance sequence, fast editing, cool assassins. But in a way, I've seen that movie by now and more than once.
Lucifer is almost 180 minutes long, and that's definitely too long. I think maybe 130 or 40 would have sufficed, because there are many little plot lines that are unnecessary in my mind. We have this drug abuse story with Janvi, the stepdaughter of Bobby. We have the one with the TV channel who needs funding, and some other little things that just bloated everything up without really giving us something to work with. You know what I mean?
I think so. The real characters are missing. If you mean that by something to work with.
Yes.
The only two characters that are fleshed out a little bit more are Steven and Priya. The rest are really just cardboard characters that help us determine who's on which side. And I hate to say it, but the female characters Priya, Janvi and the journalist Arundhati are once again only there to whine and cry and to get help by the cool guys. Especially the daughter feels like a mere plot device to illustrate just how slimy and evil our bad guy Bobby is. But she has no agenda of her own.
Yeah, and the guy to save the day is of course mainly Mohanlal's Steven and later on Prithviraj Saeed. But let's talk about Mohanlal. I think he just has this aura and this charm that is quite infecting, even if he doesn't really do that much all the time.
He really has a great presence and he's still got it when it comes to the action. You can see that there's no stunt double and that he's in great shape. So even if the action in general is familiar, it is still a lot of fun.
But also in some of the calmer moments, you can see and feel that he just knows what he does, especially with his eyes and his stature. He may have had more challenging roles in his career, but it's a very satisfying effort nonetheless.
I really hope he had more challenging roles in his career, but I get what you mean. Overall, Lucifer is just one of those movies that are specifically made for his fans, where he can show that he still got it and be awesome and epic. But at least some points go to Vivek Oberoi. He's portraying just an evil and disgusting human being who does anything to gain power. And Oberoi has clearly fun playing him that way, and that comes across to the audience for sure.
He gets some points, yeah. I mean, altogether this movie is nothing special, but Bobby is certainly one of those characters that I won't forget. And I still have to say that Lucifer is too cool for its own sake. Again, too much of style over substance.
Yeah, it is, but I kinda like that style and I liked how we get battered with that style and with the music. There's constantly music playing, I mean really constantly. A lot of slow motions everywhere and constant music accompanying each and every notion of each and every character. It's really quite hilarious. One of the best sequences in my mind is the finale. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything, but we get this sequence where a song and dance is intercut with some action and some other stuff, and I thought it was quite awesome. It felt much more like a music video, but I couldn't escape its high octane energy level.
It was alright. I just like the subtle political stuff a bit more, I guess. Although the mythical stuff with God and the devil and God's own country and all that, it's a bit half-baked in my mind.
Probably yes, and I'm not sure if subtle is really the right word when it comes to this movie, to be honest. It's painted in big broad strokes, but I know what you mean and I enjoy the open criticism about politics and specifically local politics a lot as well. I mean, in essence, they are saying that the Kerala region is led by the powers from hell.
Yes, they are. But before anyone says anything, unfortunately, Austria is pretty much or even more so led by the powers from hell. All in all, I just wish that Prithviraj would have left more of an impression with his directorial debut. Lucifer is more of an homage or tribute to Mohanlal, and the way it turned out, it really could have been directed by anybody. It's a harsh statement, I know, but I just expected more.
I can't argue with that, and yet I thought that the movie was pretty much exactly what it wanted to be. Personally, I would have trimmed it a lot of fat, so to speak, and it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I was entertained for the whole time and therefore I would give it a pass for sure. It's nothing I would recommend to people who are new to Indian cinema and looking for a really special, intelligent film, but as far as mainstream crowd pleasers go, it was fine.
If you say so.
What do you say? In German, please.
Prithvirajs Erstlingswerk ist ein durchschnittliches Polit-Action-Drama, das mit Mohanlal zwar einen guten Mann in der Hauptrolle hat und auch durchaus zu unterhalten weiß, aber einfach zu lange ist und zu wenig Neues bietet.
I give Lucifer 6 out of 10. It's more like 6.4, but I don't do that.
For me, it's also 6 out of 10. It's more like 5.7, but I don't do that either.
This deal is with the devil.
Well, Buddymeister, you have no luck when it comes to the new releases this year, do you?
Yeah.
No Gully Boy, no Kumbalangi Nights, no Perambu.
I know. Well, while there's life, there's hope. So maybe next time.
Amen to that. Until then, you can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram simply at @TheJimmyCage.
And you can hit me up simply at the Buddymeister.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.